Right. Lost and found. Beautiful question because I hardly get to talk about it in depth. Um, I felt like I was being lost. And I wanted to find myself before I completely lost myself. And a lot of people sometimes think it's because I was lost and now I am found. No, I was I was losing myself. I was losing sight of who I am, why I got into this, what it is that I like. And this all started with the success of my massively popular song, um, One, back in 2016. This is a year after I got married. So there's all these changes happening in my life. I'm expecting my last born child. I've just married the love of my life. And suddenly, the love of my life says, yo, because I'd given up on music. A lot of people don't know this. You're actually the first person to hear it. I'd given up on music and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on family. I'm just going to focus on what I've always wanted to do, which was the right thing by the woman who is a big part of who I am. And the same woman turns around and says, hey, listen, I don't want to have a husband who's got a midlife crisis at 43 and wants to start being a rapper. All right. Like just 6 months after the honeymoon, she's like, yo, listen, go out there and chase this dream of yours and then be sure that you can't catch it. Then come home. And I went out and I chased it with a full blessing. And it turned our lives upside down. And in the process, I had a massively huge song. And the formula worked so well. Um, and people wanted more of the same. And I was like, I've already done that. If you want more of that, it's there. Just put it on repeat. I want to show you what else I have to offer. And I learned the hard way that the music business is about formulas and finding something that works and sticking to it. And that I am not built like that. So I felt every time I tried to make a song, I started thinking about the formula. I started thinking about, is this song going to be as big as Guan? Is this song going to be as impactful as my previous one? And initially I felt it started affecting the quality of the music. And then eventually I just couldn't finish a song at all because the thoughts of the song would get derailed by the thoughts of the performance of the song. And I decided in 2018 that no, I'd been on tour for 2 years with one song. That's how impactful the song was. 2018, I decided, you know what? No, the waters are getting merged. I'm losing sight of where the goal started. And I decided to go back home. Um, if you don't know, home is Stanga for me. Next to Tongat, the KwaZulu side of KZN. And I started rapping in something called Sphamandla, which I didn't know was a popular thing around the country because I'm from a farming village with a big Indian population. So the Indians and the Zulus, where I come from, we speak in a language called Sphamandla, which is a combination of directly translated English and Zulu. So it's almost like Yoda from Star Wars. Me do interview with you, Yena funa hamba Congo, And so I didn't know that that thing was actually widespread. People in Johannesburg was like, you're speaking the language from the mines. I'm like, no, I'm speaking the language from the sugarcane field. It's from the sugarcane field. And like, no, this is exactly what people in the mines speak. So that's why it got so popular. And I just wanted to do more. And I decided to take a break, stop listening to the internet, go home. I went home. I sat with my grandfather and I spoke with him in a different way now because we hadn't really had a proper talk since I had paid Lobola and whatnot. And I realized he had a whole different view of me. He was no longer seeing me as his boy grandson. He was seeing me as a man because I had done the right thing and he was there to witness it. Just like my father before me, who unfortunately didn't get to witness it. So me and my grandfather's relationship got so much stronger. So much so that he named my last born child af- after, I get choked up talking about this, but he named my last born child after my grandmother, after his wife. The first day he saw her, he was like, my wife has been reborn. These were his literal words. And she carries everything my grandmother had, like the tenacity, the temper, the, she bullies all her other siblings, including sometimes myself. And I found that in all of that, family, uh, not just the family that I'm from, but the family that I've made, is where I found where my dream was always meant to take me. And so I released an EP before the album, which is called Lost and Found, the EP. And the EP explores the more lost aspects of me. You know, it deals with the depression, it deals with the anxiety. And the Lost and Found album is the more found aspect, the the return home, the return to who I am, my roots, and a more celebratory mood, a more victorious, a more conquering spirit to say, in spite of all these things, which depression and anxiety, you never really get rid of them. You just manage them. And I found that I'd always had the tools to manage them. It's just that the tools were back in Stanger and I was in Josie. And I went back home and I collected them. Beautiful question. I have not reinvented myself at all. I am the same artist I have been for as long as anyone who's a fan has known me. I'm just growing with the times. What a lot of people don't know is when I first started recording, because I couldn't afford, I was from literally, I was telling a friend of mine earlier today, that in grade 11, I was studying with candlelight. And this is 2005, when almost all of South Africa has electricity already, you know? Um, so for me, I couldn't, besides the fact that I couldn't afford a recording studio, there was no recording studio to speak of within a 50-kilometer radius. So I would literally tape myself over house beats, and you with the cassette player. I remember I used to take my auntie's cassettes, and I would put paper like her Brenda Fassie, her Deborah Fraser, her Rebecca Malope, and I would put paper in the holes that allow the radio to press record on the tape. And I would tape myself over house beats. And I would rap over the house beats. It started out as poetry and then became rap. So in this age of Amapiano, I find it surprisingly easy to adapt, which is how the song Ungithandile with the Faith came about. I am not an Amapiano artist. I am a rapper, but I am a South African rapper first and foremost. And I have always rapped to South African sounding um, backdrops. So when Amapiano comes up, I'm like, yo, this is just like what I was doing 15 years ago. It's just a different tempo. So I just slide in there like I was always a part of it. But I'm not an Amapiano artist, and I'm not even going to try and pretend to be. Lyricism is still at the forefront of what I do. Content is still, not to say that Amapiano artists don't have that. It's just for hip hop musicians, it's much more of a major focus than the vibe and the feeling. And that's what Lily Faith brought to the song. Who is a queen that I was a fan of before I ever collaborated with her. And to this day, we have never met face to face. We did an amazing song together that's doing so well. It's charting consistently in the top 20 every week. And I have never met this amazing musician. And it's all thanks to the producer XYs who put us together And the beauty of the thing that you and I are communicating through the internet, and we're able to make it happen. So, and my story is a bit frightening. I spent too much time in the crevices of the internet. So when I found out about COVID, it was actually January the 1st. The first, um, the doctor had disappeared. This might, if you research it, you'll find that it's true, but it might devolve into some conspiracy theory sounding type of thing. So I don't even mind if you don't include it. But a doctor had disappeared who had tried to blow the whistle on the leak in Wuhan. And unfortunately, he had been silenced and was captive. And he passed away from the illness on, well, his death became public on the 31st of December. Not maybe public to the entire world, but just public to people who are on those nerdy corners of the web, of the internet, like I am. So I knew about it long before that flights from Italy landed in South Africa, and I was already paranoid. And I'm a Zulu man to the core, like I do not think I am built for multiple wives, right? But my my main thing is like, yo, provide, protect, like provide and protect. So that instinct was heightened from the beginning of the year. As soon as my kids finished their exams and assessments for 2020 in March, I took them out of school. And then the president, 2 weeks after that, said schools have to be shut down. Suddenly, because I started telling my family, yo, guys, listen, I need you guys to buy food. I need you to buy wine for your sanity. And I need you to buy protective clothing, masks, and so at the time I prescribed hand wash or hard liquor. I was like, yo, better, like, you need to wash anyone who comes into contact with you. You need to wash them with Smirnoff before before the sanitizers became popular. And everyone thought I was crazy. My wife also thought I was crazy, but she trusts me somewhat. That's why she said yes. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to his psychobabble. And then it became national news. And by the time it became national news, we were 3 weeks into our own personal family lockdown. So after, you remember I said I took a break in 2018. In 2019, I started getting very involved on the internet. I started because I was researching, like I was listening to lectures from different psychologists and psychiatrists, and listening to both Western, Eastern, and African medical practitioners to try and find like a balance of what I think would work for me. I explored so much about religion. I explored so much about my own culture and heritage to try and find that balance. And in the process, I became a prolific streamer. I I got cameras and started a camera rental business. Um, but obviously it wasn't running as smoothly as I'd like, because I would only rent my cameras to people I know. And being a married man who most of his friends are young and single and going to the club, I only knew 2 or 3 people that I could trust to come to my home and take my cameras. So I started using my cameras myself, and I got online and I started playing video games with my children, acclimating them to staying more indoors, and we started streaming together. So when with the lockdown happened, everyone was in panic mode. Everyone was. I remember there was a toilet paper shortage, and I was looking at the stack of toilet paper we had. I was like, yeah, sorry guys, that's us. My apologies. That's us. We bought it in Feb. We bought it in February. You should have listened. I'm not crazy. But what happened was I got so into this online space. I was doing Skype calls with friends I'd met on PlayStation the previous year. And so when everything started going on Zoom like it's going now, it was absolutely second nature to me at the time. And so many people were struggling. And I just found I was flourishing. My sanity was at its best ever. My sense of loneliness, it suddenly felt like I had so many people around me, even though just like right now, I'm alone. But for me, I feel like we're in the same room because I'd been doing that since like 2019 to deal with like anxiety and depression because I couldn't go outside. I couldn't. And yeah, so the lockdown did not change my life significantly enough when it actually officially happened because I had already applied those principles to me and my family's life prior to that, like a month, almost a month and a half before that happened officially. But what it did was it brought a lot more people into the madness that I had allowed myself to sink into. And I found a community online, and now we hang out together Tuesdays to Fridays from 6 or 7 p.m., depending on whether or not I'm feeling up to it that day. That's the beauty of it. I can say no. I can say no to the internet. That's beautiful. So I'll tell you now, first of all, in 2019, the only suit I had is the suit I got married with in 2015. Now, I think I probably have 10 suits. And I have no desire to go outside. My suits are just for this. Just for this. I like my confidence is at a different level. I don't feel old. I feel not like blue cheese, but mature cheddar, you know? And I'm hoping to get for that mature cheddar as well. But and I'm going to be doing a completely online experience that people can interact with via 360 cameras, but just the complete stage production done in this one room where I live that can be done live that people can enjoy from the safety and comfort of their own homes. You don't need to, present your COVID pass, your vaccination passports. You're at home. You're watching either on your phone or on your smart TV, whatever, and you can be part of the Maraza experience without exposing yourself to too many people. Because for me, I feel like I've been hanging out with you for an hour and you're probably 300 kilometers away. I don't even know where you are, but it doesn't matter because right now we're connected. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking my stage performances and I am tailoring them. And I've been tailoring them for the past 2 years. I just haven't presented it yet because I've been working on it. And I'm tailoring them for what I hate to use this term because it sounds like a conspiracy theory term, but the new world order. This is just how life is now, you know. So there, yeah, my fans can expect something very adapted for the current times. Something tailor made. They don't have to come and find me. I will send myself to them, and they don't have to disinfect me when they meet me because it's all gonna be digital.